I just wanted to jump on here. I read something from Kappy on, I think I'm pronouncing his name right. I've followed him for quite a long time. I suggest you follow him as well. Kabbumar or UR on Twitter. And I was reading what his synopsis that he presented was of the Isaac Kappy situation. Because I'm sorry, it just does not sit with me that, especially after watching his last video, that Isaac committed suicide. I'm not buying that. He said in it he was not suicidal because he knows how these people operate. And Kappy had laid out pretty much exactly how I would have thought it happened, and what he wrote truly resonated with me. And you know, people ask, like in the thread, or at least one guy asked, well, what's your source? And it's like, I don't know what his source is, but when I read what Kappy wrote, my source is my discernment and the internal feeling within that something seems truthful, which I did not have that feeling with the official story of two teenagers. Now, let me tell you why I think the two teenager thing is important. The two teenagers tried to pull him off. First of all, I don't necessarily think that's typical behavior of a teenager or teenagers to take that sort of initiative. Now, maybe they were extraordinary teenagers, but that's not typical. So right away that puts up a red flag. But the other red flag about using teenagers is the authorities can say, oh, well, you know, we're not going to disclose their names, so there's no further investigation that can go on regarding these witnesses to a suicide because they're teenagers and they're kids, you know, they're underage. So that right away fits nicely into, you know, their story. And basically Kappy says, you know, he was threatened because he has more stuff to dump on the Luciferian pedophiles, more pedophiles to expose in Hollywood. He was threatened and then abducted and drugged and told that, you know, if he didn't jump, they were going to slice him up. I would also imagine, which Kappy didn't include, but I think Kappy had mentioned before, you know, that his family was under threat. So maybe he felt like, hey, you know what? I have to do this to protect my family. I'm the one that, you know, started this, and I cannot let it end with my family being harmed. So, you know, I guess the biggest thing to take away here is if something doesn't sit right with you, you know, keep digging for the truth. Keep listening to other people's theories even. I don't think Kappy is just merely a theory. I think he has access to information that most of us do not. And I'm not going to go into why I believe that, but I believe that. I've been following him for a long time, and I think the guy's absolutely legitimate, and he has connections that a lot of us do not have. So, you know, keep digging, folks. All I can say is that whole thing does not sit well with me. You know, I was thinking about Kappy more yesterday, or Isaac Kappy yesterday more, and, you know, he struck me as just a really kind, gentle soul. Who was loving and funny, and you know, sure, he made mistakes. Everybody's made mistakes. Especially easy to make mistakes when you're surrounded by the evil that he was in his life in Hollywood. But at the same time, you know, that guy, I just think, had a heart of gold in the end. Somebody else brought up something interesting that, you know, Isaac Kappy had mentioned Jesus, and I don't recall from his videos, and I watched a lot of his videos in the past of him talking about Jesus much. I do think I do recall it somewhat, but someone pointed out, hey, you know what, he's Jewish, why is he talking about Jesus and that sort of thing, which is another good point. And then just the way in which the Instagram is written doesn't strike me. I mean, because when you're writing, pardon me, when you're writing a suicide note, that probably has to be the most emotional exercise that a human being could go through in their life. In other words, emotions are going to flood to the top. And it just seems like the Instagram is kind of written out too logically, too perfectly to fit a beautiful, you know, a Luciferian pedophile cover-up. So that also just leads me to believe that we were not told the truth about him. And of course, you know, the mainstream media lies, the authorities lie. They're all in cahoots. So we immediately have to be suspect when something suspicious like this happens. So I just wanted to throw that out. You might want to go read Kappy's thread yourself. It's relatively short, but it explains what I believe happened, or is much closer to the truth of happening. And all I can do is encourage folks to dig. Send FOIAs to the Arizona Department of Public Safety. You know, I think I'm going to do that. I just haven't had time lately. But I think I am going to do that when that's all done and say, hey, you know what, I'd like to see an incident report. You know, also kind of typical for a situation like this, especially if they were teenagers, would be to pull out their phone and start recording something. Of course, we don't have that. But you know how teenagers are these days, and younger people are really quick. Everybody is, but especially that group, really quick to pull out their phones, you know, and start recording stuff. So anyway, again, folks, just use your discernment. If something doesn't feel right to you, rely upon that gut instinct. I can just tell you from my own experience how it will steer you in the right direction, steer you towards the truth, and steer you away from lies. Always trust your gut instinct. And, you know, the more you trust it and the more you try to feel it, because it's about feeling the truth, the more accurate and the better it will serve you. And I've been doing that for a very long time, and it has served me very well in negotiating this planet and this species. Anyways, guys, I just want to throw that out there on my way to work. Love y'all, and keep your chins up. We're winning. The deep state Luciferians are scrambling right now in Washington, D.C., and after that, I think the last count I heard was there's 97,000 sealed indictments in the system right now, which, again, the normal amount would be 250 to 1,000 in any given year. And you can look back at the PACER system to verify that, and to verify, you know, all these other sealed indictments. And just to clarify, that does not mean that there's 97,000 people indicted. There can be, you know, one guy could have 20 counts, and a lot of these people are just going to have dozens of criminal counts against them. It can also include, you know, documentation and evidence can be sealed. So just because it's sealed doesn't necessarily mean that represents one criminal being arrested. But again, with 97,000 sealed indictments, it means a hell of a lot of people are going to eventually be getting arrested. And I think, again, the key is first to flush out this deep state, make some arrests on the whole treasonous coup attempt, which is going to be easier for America to swallow. Anybody thinking rationally is going to look at these facts and go, hey, these are legitimate indictments and prosecutions going on here. And that's important, an important step in the right direction, because it's not going to be so easy to believe the other vile crimes that many, many, many people, including in Hollywood, including in Washington, D.C., are guilty of. It's just going to make that pill a little bit easier to swallow. And the other interesting thing I want to remind you of is, if you'll notice, in the last year or two, you've seen the deep state coming out in the mainstream media. It seems every several months, and they'll put 2 or 3 things out there saying, oh boy, look what you can do with video now. You just can't trust anything you see anymore. And it's like, that's bullshit. That stuff can be analyzed, it will be analyzed, and it will be used as evidence, because one of the nasty things these vile Luciferians want to and enjoy doing is recording, especially their crimes against children, their torture, murder, raping, and cannibalizing them, and sharing that amongst their sick little cult. So anyways, I love you guys, and we're winning. Keep up the good fight, and let's do what we can to reveal the truth in this Isaac Kappy situation. And, you know, hey, before you go to bed, you know, at night, ask you know, to have your higher power, or your higher self, or whatever your particular belief may be, to help you with that discernment, you know, to help deliver the truth to you. This is very powerful. You guys are very powerful beings. We're all powerful co-creators and manifestors and of our reality, so keep that in mind, because your thoughts and intentions matter immensely. Anyway, love you guys. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.